We talk we obviously it's a matter of time before everybody gets it, as you've said. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. But some people still don't quite. They're still missing it. We had some hope from Milei down in Argentina, but then I will bring up this tweet that just came out. And Max, you
responded?
You responded. Argentina unveiled monetary registry for Bitcoin and crypto platforms. And you wrote, Javier Milei makes his first major mistake. He never took the time to understand Bitcoin. Now he'll suffer the consequences.
Yeah, well, exactly. So Milei, took over in Argentina, and there's a lot of hope and hype about possibly making Bitcoin legal tender or following the Bitcoin path, but it doesn't appear to be that way. And two things. Number one, as I said, it means that any hope that Argentina has to dig their way out of the IMF pit is being delayed, deferred. And secondly, it shows again how President Bukele is such a unique world leader. He got it, he gets it, he personifies it. And I make the comparison to Michael Saylor as well. Nobody in corporate America has done a Michael Saylor, even though he went from a $2 billion company to now close to a $35 billion company in less than 2 years by simply doing a simple strategy of buying Bitcoin on a balance sheet. Nobody else in America figured it out. So here you have El Salvador. Tourism is booming, up 11% year on year. It's a huge sector of the economy now. They put $6 billion of fresh cash into people's pockets by simply going after the gangsters and putting them in jail and getting rid of the extortion rackets and all the simple things you would think other people who run countries would look at and say, yeah, that's the game plan. That's what we're going to do. But, they didn't do it.
Yeah, it's really, I was watching this weekend, so down at the beach, because it was the Semana Santa, the Easter week, and everyone, all of San Salvador was down at the beach, it felt like. And I'm seeing all these little merchants, and they're setting up shops where they don't normally set up, and everyone's making all of this money. And I really, as I was driving here to the studio today, I was like, man, they all made whatever, let's just say they made an extra $200 this past weekend or something. And in the past, before Bukele, they would have given half of that over to some thug, and now they don't. And that's a lot of money in a country where the, minimum wage is $390 a month or something, and how significant that is. And why is it so hard to get what he's done? I don't we all had, Milei, and Argentina has this much larger economy than El Salvador, and maybe they're going to get it. And it's going to spread. I keep waiting for this sort of domino effect in Latin America. But then
why aren't there, Picasso, look at how many paintings he did. Why can't other people do it? Right? It's if everybody was a genius, there would be no geniuses, right? So there are only a few geniuses, and President Bukele is a genius, a political genius, a once in 100, 200, 300 year sort of leader. And for good reason, there's only a few of them that ever do come around every couple hundred years. Mm-hmm. So it's not, they always make it look easy. Picasso was a jokester and made it look easy as well, what he was doing, but he was a master, right? And we know that because nobody else has been able to achieve the same sort of a degree of sheer workmanship and, just artistic genius. So I think it's that, and it's hard to understand Bitcoin. And in terms of what Milei has done in Argentina, the problem I see with what he's done is he lumped Bitcoin in with all those crypto. Right. So, we regulate, in El Salvador, we regulate under the Digital Assets Commission, all the digital assets. So in Milei, he's having everybody, all of them, Bitcoin, everything, every single 2 million coins, they're having to register as virtual asset service providers. So we have digital asset service providers here under the digital assets regime. So we do have similar, we have registration for crypto sort of stuff, because those are securities, right? Those are a group of guys or individuals organizing to create profit out of their enterprise. And in the case of these crypto, it's a lot of, they have to give full disclosure about how many coins they're pre-mining, how many they own, what's the emission schedule, all that sort of stuff. With Bitcoin, obviously it's decentralized. There's no founder, there's no marketing team, there's no persuasion for you to buy this. There's no inducement. There's no, none of that. It's money. It's like trying to regulate gold or, the only other just totally decentralized sovereign money is gold, because anybody can go out there and mine it themselves and have money. Treasuries, I would say, is also layer one money. I was about to say that, but then I realized, well, actually only the US Treasury can, and their member banks can issue money. So I think it's just, I knew, and I said it and I tweeted when a lot of Bitcoiners were getting hyped up about Milei, I knew for a fact he would disappoint, because I knew for a fact there's just mathematically, and we could see the history books, and we know that there are only a few handful of leaders. You can count like 25, 30 if you look at human history of great leaders, right? So it just made no sense that there would suddenly be one that could do the same that President Bukele had done. So I think that's why it is. When you ask, like, why is it so hard? It's like, because it is. Just because President Bukele makes it look easy doesn't mean that it's not hard.
Right.
Yeah. Just to follow up there, just a simple point that there was a failure to differentiate between Bitcoin and everything else. So it's all lumped together. And as such, it's all useless as such, because now the point about Bitcoin is that it separates money from state. So what Milei has done is that he's reimposed the state into Bitcoin. So that for neutering any potential Bitcoin has to help Argentina. So he took Bitcoin and he tied its hands and legs and threw it into a reservoir, and with bricks tied to its ankles, and said, help us. And of course, Bitcoin won't help because he doesn't understand it.
And that seems to be such a huge, it's a huge thing that the lack of, people get it, and then they stop trying to learn about it. Like they think, oh, I get it, it's crypto. And then they just, and it's like, no, this is one of these things where you have to continually study and learn about it. Like you have to understand it, because it is complicated, and you can get it at a base level, but you should keep studying it, especially if you're a leader of a major country. But then it also comes down to, like you say, Stacy, Milei is probably just sort of your run-of-the-mill who's got a bunch of people around him, and he doesn't know who's around him, versus this once in a 1,000-year leader that is a visionary who, Bukele has good people around him, but he's the visionary. He doesn't have like people in his ear. I'm sure Milei, just like a lot of these leaders, just has a bunch of people in his ear pulling in one direction or the other. He doesn't know what's what. Oh, Bitcoin, crypto, let's regulate it. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, he treats them all the same, like you said. And I said that at the time as well. I mean, obviously, maybe blowing my own horn, but I tweeted, the problem, I could see it from afar, was that Milei doesn't have a Stacy. And, because I run the Bitcoin office. And the thing is, it's not easy. It's not just like, it's 24/7, like nonstop work to, because every salesman in the world, and there's a marketing team for 2 million shitcoins, they all show up. They all show up to sell every company, every individual, every country on their scam, on their scheme. And maybe quite a lot of them don't know it's a scam, but they really believe that their snake oil is going to work. But they make even more convincing salesmen, don't they? The ones that actually believe in the stuff they're selling. So he never had somebody who had already gone through like 4 cycles in Bitcoin, who had already seen everything, had already understood how to differentiate, but also how to be toxic. When this notion of toxic Bitcoin maximalists, part of that is erupted out of individuals who had been in Bitcoin for a very long time and had seen other early Bitcoiners become scammers, and they might have got scammed or might have believed their friends, and it was early days, you didn't understand it. You could get wrecked, individuals can get wrecked. I just think the higher, there's an individual, then there's companies and communities, then there's nation states. And the higher up you go, I think that the cost of getting wrecked is almost you can't recover from it. Like, at least for an individual, I've seen some of them go through 3 cycles or 2 or 3 cycles, getting totally wrecked, losing all of their wealth. And it might have even taken them a second time of doing the same thing, getting wrecked, before they could become a Bitcoiner, before they could understand it. The problem is, you need, for a head of state, if they don't understand that and they trust the wrong person or listen to the wrong person or take a meeting with the wrong person, it could be, of getting wrecked on a country level. We'll see. I don't know. I think you do know. You could see Miami got wrecked on Miami coin, which was sold as like this shit coin on Bitcoin. And it was supposed to be, because it was on Bitcoin, it was going to be better. But that collapsed to nothing. You could see Puerto Rico, it attracted all the crypto scammers, the shitcoiners of America, all moved there for 0% tax, and nothing has been built, nothing has happened. There's no tourism increase, there's no identity brand value there in Crypto Island. We've seen that in Dubai. There's scam after scam after scam that comes out of there. So we know that it doesn't work. So Milei just doesn't have somebody who can tell him, no, don't do it. Trust me, you're going to get wrecked. We're going to get wrecked. Everybody's going to get wrecked. People are going to make fun of us.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I was thinking that's a mark of a good leader too, is who they put around them. So if they don't have good advisors around them, then that's also the mark. And then thinking of this and how easy it is to fall for the scams, somebody replayed this, that Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank said this 2.5 years ago.
Paid spokesperson to FTX and a shareholder there too, as we mentioned them, and big advocate for Sam because he has 2 parents that are compliance lawyers.
Oh.
If there's ever a place I could be that I'm not going to get in trouble, it's going to be at FTX. So in managing...
If there's ever a place I'm not going to be in trouble with 2 parents that are compliance lawyers. So again, doesn't that sound great? Well, he's Mr. Wonder. He's this fancy billionaire guy. He's on TV. He must know what he's talking about. And and I didn't know Sam Bankman-Fried's parents were both compliance lawyers. That sounds good to me. Who knows that they're compliance lawyers for corrupt assholes? And we didn't know that he gave $30 million to the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And thanks to his parents, he's now doing 25 years in prison. Those are great parents. So, right? This is how easy it is to get scammed and why you need people saying, don't do it. It's why I think this show is important. That's why I have tried to really be as much of a maxi as I can to people and really explain to them, because you can get screwed over so hard. And I got tricked a little early. We all get tricked a little early. And if we can, as we're going into a bull run, if we can try to catch as many newbies as possible and go, don't run and chase these compliance lawyer scams or whatever, who have horrible, the FTX thing was such the structural corruption on a family level, the whole family's corrupt. And then I don't know if Mr.
Well, it's this. Bastiat said, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society and people in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that, authorizes it and a moral code that justifies it. So they're part of the elite. His family were part of the elite. He was a child of the elite. He was the elite. He hung out with the elite. And the whole system is built on plunder. So, of course, they, this is what Satoshi Nakamoto got rid of, right? Even in the Genesis block, it says, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. That's plunder, right? They plundered from the plebs in order to give to the bankers. And that's what compliance officers do as well. Compliance officers well, Max can tell you, like he worked in banking, and that's what a compliance officer does. They give you, a blessing. It's like what's an indulgence? They sell indulgences for your crimes, and they give you an out, and they let you sleep at night. That this was justified, that this theft that you did on a grand scale. So, like I said, like you said, it's very simple, but it's very difficult to understand. It's so simple. Bitcoin, is just Bitcoin, Bitcoin only. Bitcoin just is. You don't have to do anything. It's so easy for a vast bureaucracy that governments are, for somebody to get just wowed by all of the fancy language, all these blockchains and the transactions per second, and the alleged things that they can resolve, and the wealth they can create, and jobs they can create, and blah, blah, blah. So I think, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, like you were saying before, it's the knowledge of Bitcoin. It's tough to understand it because there's many layers to it. And with each layer, it's another layer of self-discovery, because you have to overturn things that you thought you knew. You thought you knew something about money. You thought you knew something about markets. You thought you knew something about technology. And it turns out that everything you thought you knew, you didn't really know. And this is, again, what Michael Saylor would say, all your models are broken. And so with President Bukele, he's somebody who's philosophically very mature. So he has a good philosophical base that he knows himself. That's why he understands Bitcoin. With Milei, I think he's a very immature man. He's a man-child, and he acts like a man-child. He acts out with his chainsaws and things. So it's not surprising he wouldn't understand Bitcoin, because he's essentially a child. And you have to be an adult to understand this stuff, to run a country. So I think that's part of it. And as far as Sam Bankman-Fried goes, his family, if you remember the Munsters or the Addams family, it's a family of monsters. And they bred a test tube baby of fraud who feeded Adderall from the mother, who's probably lactated Adderall into his gut 24 hours a day as a baby. And he turned out to be this hyper schizophrenic, sociopathic terrorist of money, and made a lot of people in Washington rich.
Yeah,
of course, because it's like a soldier that goes. He made a lot of people very, very wealthy, and that was he was bred to do it. Like the boys from Brazil, remember that film? Yeah. They bred little Hitlers in Brazil, so he was just bred to be a financial terrorist, and he did a really good job at that.
Yeah, he's like a Manchurian candidate. If you were to, they sat in a lab and went, there's this backlash towards the billionaires and ruling elites. So we'll make him this scruffy kid who drives a Toyota Camry and sleeps on the floor, and he doesn't have a private jet.
What did he say? He said, say the right shibboleths, and you can get away with anything. Mm-hmm. All right, so if it's environmentally friendly, shibboleth number one. It's progressive, shibboleth number two, right? Say the right shibboleths, and you can steal.
Yep.
You can steal a country. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And just who are you trying to steal? And so he tricked a bunch of younger people into go, oh yeah, he's one of the good guys. And it's like you concocted him in a lab. That's how I would trick the young people. This is what the Democratic Party is good at. Identity.
He's lab grown. He's beyond meat of crypto.
he's the beyond meat.
And Kevin O'Leary is just basically a gun for hire. He'll sell anything for a nickel. Doesn't matter. He doesn't think for 10 seconds. It's just like, if you can put a pile of whatever and he'll sell it.
His parents were also compliance officers. And that's the thing is, he's a child of Wall Street, even though he's from Berkeley and, Silicon Valley area. It's like, they are like crypto. They are like those 2 million crypto. They have all those code words. They have those buzzwords that claim that what they're doing is helping people.
Right.
We're helping you buy a home. We're helping your family access, food, like meals for the week, your groceries with our credit line. And all the stuff they do is just it's just sheer benevolence and altruism.
It's like when the oil companies make those videos of we're giving money to green energy, and they show the wind farms and
greenwashing.
Yeah, greenwashing.
Orange washing.
Yeah, this is
Bitcoin orange washing.
Yeah.